Yes, well, once again, we're in the middle of a terrorist attack at the moment. Um, Personally, I'm not involved, thankfully. I feel sorry for everyone else who is. Oh, God. A bit of a jiffy situation. Gammy. Supposedly Prime Minister Erdogan from Turkey, broadcast on a large screen the horrible mosque shooting that happened a few days ago. Wow, well done. What a fantastic idea. Really, really, really. Nothing but positive outcomes are going to come from that. Well done, Prime Minister or President. Hope your election goes well. You and the people that will sift through your opponents' ballots and burn half of them probably. Yeah, President Erdogan. I've been there. I've been to Istanbul. How many times have I been there? 3 times? Or just twice? Twice. I went there when I was 18. I remember I took a 36-hour train from Athens. I was sick with typhoid fever at the time. I just come down with it. In a parking lot in Athens, I was with this French chap. I was only 18, he was 21. We just been on the Retsina. We thought we'd save ourselves £2, which was what the cost of the hostel was, by sleeping in a parking lot. And it was great until the middle of the night when I woke up shivering, and then I woke up the next day, went to the hospital. Greek doctor said, "Don't worry about it, it's just the flu." So I travelled around Turkey for 3 weeks, sleeping rough, outside train stations as we did back then, the backpackers, to save some cash. Slept in a cave once. Made my way. Izmir was it's a pretty amazing city, Izmir, but I'll never forget. We didn't have anything back then. The only way we could get a hotel was to walk hotel to hotel to hotel asking if they had any space. And I remember having typhoid fever, and in Turkey, when they say no, they nod their head, which is highly confusing. So every time I go to a hotel and say, have a room or whatever, probably in Turkish, I think I learned the word for it. The chap would nod his head, and I'd go, "Great." And then I realised once again he meant no. So finally I ended up in the shittest hotel room I've ever been in my entire life, with this broken down bed, where the mattress was broken, and it was just with typhoid fever and large, vermin in the bed to keep me company. Then I took a bus from Izmir to Istanbul, and I was lucky enough to have sitting next to me a man with his wife on the other side, even though there's only 2 seats there, who tried to convert me to Islam for the 8-hour drive. Well, he was a nice enough chap, but I just really wasn't up for it, to be honest. I wasn't feeling very chipper at the time with the old typhoid fever and everything. Then I got to Istanbul, and then I got out of there and made my way up, hitchhiked, went to Salonika, hitchhiked out of there up through Serbia. But this Dutch chap picked me up. They let me off in the middle of the night, 12 o'clock at night, by the side of a field where I slept. One of the worst nights of my life with typhoid fever. Woke up, went to a town called Niš, which is this horrible. This is during the communist era. This is 85. And with this typhoid fever really getting to me at this point, because it is and was was very fatal in many occasions. Walking around, then I took the train there, and then I went to Venice, and anyway I ended up in Florence. Couldn't take it anymore. Went to the emergency thing in the train station there. They took me to the hospital, and the chap came in and said, "You have a typhoid fever." It spent 2 weeks in utter agony. It felt like one minute I was transported from the North Pole where I was naked to the middle of the Sahara where I was naked. And they pumped me full of antibiotics. Thank you, Alexander Fleming. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for not washing the dishes that particular evening. And I came out of that. So, yeah, probably Istanbul. Great. I never another experience. I had quite amazing experiences when I was there. I was with this other French chap, and we met on the 36-hour train ride there. We got talking to this young Turkish chap who had been studying in London, I think, and he took us around various places. I never forget walking down the street and looking behind me, and there was a bear on its hind legs walking towards me in the middle of a massive city, which rather took me by surprise, until I realized it was actually a dancing bear that they did back then. Certain chaps would wrap a chain around the neck of a bear and walk around getting money for it, but to see that, a giant bear walking towards you in the middle of the city was disconcerting, to say the least. We also went to this one place, they were drinking non-stop over there. I mean, there was a lot of drinking going on. We went to this one place where we had this blind gypsy chap with like white eyes, old school blind, like out of a movie or something, playing the saz or something, I think it's called, a stringed instrument. And we went to a porno theatre. That was funny, because what they would do is they would show episodes of 1970s American detective shows like Starsky and Hutch dubbed in Turkish, and then halfway through the program they would have 10 minutes of pornography, and then it would go back to the Starsky and Hutch again. And the pornography was also quite disconcerting. I remember there was a nurse and there was an amputee, and the nurse sort of straddled this guy with one leg. So, not really up my alley as far as erotica is concerned. The whole amputee thing hasn't got a leg to stand on as far as I'm concerned. What else about Istanbul? It's not Constantinople, that's for sure, but Izmir I liked. There's Pamukkale. It's quite an interesting country, Turkey. But the chap who's running it is, seems to be a tin pot dictator. I mean, I've met Turkish people in London on the more liberal side of things, and they are definitely not fans of him. It's changed a lot, Turkey. What happened is a lot of the more conservative people from eastern Turkey moved into Istanbul, and he's playing to them. That's his base. I guess like I guess you could say it's like the Trump version or something, populist type, playing to the more conservative values types. Okay, now what the hell else is going on? So that's going on. It's just, I don't know. I'm assuming, I think he actually called for revenge attacks. I don't know if he did, but he did show it on a big screen. It's horrific. This isn't really funny, but what the hell? I'm just saying whatever. It's not really funny. It's not particularly funny at all, is it? But this is what's happening. Okay. Istanbul, Serbia, niche. Horrible place. They had no restaurants. You just had to go to the local supermarket where everyone was really miserable, and just buy milk, evaporated milk or whatever it's called, the long life milk. That's what I had to eat. And then I got on the train to Belgrade. I was going to stay there, and I was sort of lying in the aisle and the train conductor came up and kicked me. You know, it's not really used to that sort of thing. They're quite harsh. I think that's where maybe the system. I mean, it's just a depressing system, really, isn't it? Every place that's been communist that I've been to, because I think it's they promise so much egalitarianism and equality and all that, and of course it never is like that, because they always have the ruling elite like they have everywhere else in the world, but they still try to pawn it off to everybody that we're all equal and all that. So while having secret police and all the rest of it, so it must be particularly galling have to live under that sort of bullshit. But sounds good in theory. Yeah. Never, always beware of a do-gooder. You know, what they're hiding underneath may not be that good. It's a thirst for power, and they justify it to themselves. So I'm just trying to help people. That's what Pol Pot said. It's another place. I lived in Cambodia. That's what I'm saying this right now. All the Cambodian people I know, every single one of them had lost their parents, their brothers and sisters. You know, it just goes with the territory. If they're above a certain age, they live through that. And Pol Pot was a real do-gooder. You know, he wanted everybody to be equal, apart from the fact that he was staying in the royal palace where the king was staying. Not quite as equal. Some are more equal than others, I guess. He gets to stay in the royal palace along with his cronies. So, the good thing I think about democracy is, by nature, human beings are very competitive. And it's not just us, I mean, other animals are as well. It's just part of life, isn't it? So if you do have, I don't think two parties is good in the States. I don't think that's a good thing. But at least they sort of keep each other on their toes, apart from both of them getting bought off by big business with the cash. I think four parties is good. You get a sort of centre-left, centre-right, and then a left and a right party. And they can form coalitions and just keep everybody, you know, on their toes. And who knows, maybe it turn into a morass, but it seems to be a lot better than the American thing of just two parties. I don't know why. Proportional representation. So force them to work together as well. You know, I mean, how I look at it is, okay, you've got conservative people and you've got liberal people. One shouldn't be able to impose everything they believe on the other people, whether it's conservatives or liberals. You know, you've got to accept that other people have different views from you and try to compromise. What makes you sure that you're so fucking right about everything? But who am I to comment? Well, I can comment on it. I always say, always copy the best places to live. Like Denmark seems like a good place. I think. Who knows what it's like, but it seems pretty good. That's what Scotland's trying to go for, I think, the Scandinavian model. And in the States, they're trying to do that as well, some people, but of course, they always bring up Venezuela. But then, Denmark isn't a socialist country. It's a free market capitalist country with a very good social safety net, which sounds good. What's wrong with that? I mean, in the States, they already have free schools. That's part of, you know, isn't that socialistic? They've got free, the army's free, the police are free, you know, it's paid for by taxes, so why shouldn't they have health care as well? Those four things: schooling, health care, the emergency services, those things, you know, I guess legal representation, they already have that anyway, but in the States, there's massive lobbying, it's a massive amount of money. I think they actually spend a vast amount of money on healthcare, more than other countries per capita. It just goes into the pockets of the corrupt ruling class elite. So, Yeah, I guess I got political. What the hell? The whole world's going to shit. I'm just gonna have a bubble bath. That's my new single out now.